So Wednesday took on Bristol City on Wednesday night, hoping to get over the back of that 3-0 defeat by Leeds. A bit of a harsh defeat, if you ask me, and get back to winning ways. These 3 games, Leeds, Bristol, QPR, I was hoping we might be able to take 4 points for them. Well, we've got one of those points now. I think we really do need to get that win against QPR on Saturday. A couple of changes for Wednesday. We went with a 3-4-3, Beadle in goal, back three of Bernard, Heckway and Lowe. Valerie Charles, probably making his last appearance, Bannon and Johnson, and Windass, Ugbo and Gassama was the front three. Decent start for Wednesday. I won't say brilliant start, but a decent start. There was an high tempo to it. We were trying to get into them and close down quickly. Heckway Twine a quick rattle early on. And then it's a dream start. We get a goal after 15 minutes. And it's not just the relief for scoring the first goal, but it's actually a really good goal. It's a really quality goal. Lowe wins it deep in hard half on the left. A couple of little 1-2s in there with Gassama. Windass gets flicked out to Marvin Johnson, and then he does it's like a Cruyff pass. It's a little Cruyff sort of pass through the gap. Brilliant bit of invention from Marvin Johnson. Windass drives on towards the right hand side, lays a brilliant ball into Valerie's path. He's shot on overlap. And what I really like is it's not an aimless cross into the box. He's put it into an area, low and hard, for somebody to get onto and attack. And that's exactly what happens. Gassama's made up that ground all the way from the halfway line, a sort of diagonal running towards a penalty box. Got his arms waving, keep me. And when it comes in, a lovely side-footed finish, opens his body. Reminded me a little bit of Danny Wilson, the way he did that, just swept across it. Fantastic start for Wednesday in front of the Cop. Bristol weren't out of it. They had their own attacks as well. Shea Charles, as I said, probably making his last appearance of the club. Brilliant block on the edge of the D, just as their lad were winding up for the haymaking shot from about 18 yards. So there were little warnings for Wednesday. That Twine again, I mean, he's a good player. Remember him from his MK Dons days. He were getting the ball and turning and trying to spread it. But Wednesday, the opening period, I thought did have a level of control. They were using the ball really well, but what really impressed me, two very similar teams, obviously, as we knew with the table before then, but I thought Wednesday's movement was really good. The game enters a period maybe about 20 minutes or so in, sort of 5 minutes after Wednesday have scored. Bristol start getting more possession of the ball, which happens psychologically. You've got something to defend, and suddenly you're just 2-3 yards deeper, and they're having a little bit of momentum with it. But we kept our shape really well. The Heckway won a number of headers in that first half. Like I said, it's been out a long time, but in the centre of that three there, with Bernard to his right and Lowe to the left, I thought it gives a nice balance in that back three. And he's old-fashioned. I've used this phrase a lot. He's a muck and nettle set at half. He will head and kick, as Twine found out. And he's one of those who he will clear the box with his headers as well. He's not a 50p head where it can go anywhere. He does get the clearance on him. So he had a good first half as well. But as I said, Bristol just having that little bit more possession as we went towards halfway. As we're getting up towards the half-time mark, Wednesday had a couple of quick breaks and started a flurry just before. One of them, Gassama, an insane run, jinking down the left-hand side. There's probably 4 players around him, and he's going inside, outside. You almost think he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's just trying to find that angle. Eventually whips the ball past the last man and dribbles it across the byline. Brilliant bit of football from him. Good cutback as well. This is what we've talked about recent weeks. Gassama's got his head up that bit more this last couple of months or so. Cuts it back for Ugbo. Their lad's in sharp, makes a really good block. Gutted. That would have been a brilliant way to finish the half if we'd got Ugbo on the score sheet and that 2-0. We've got a corner from that. Marvin Johnson hit an absolute pile driver from that again. One of their lads chucked him set in front of it. And I've got to be fair to Bristol. This little 5 minutes before the break was the sort of defending that you've got to do in this division. I look at some of the goals we've conceded this season. This is the sort of things we saw the same the other week with Preston. There's a desperation not to concede, and you've got to have that in your locker. You've got to be absolutely desperate not to let that ball into your 6-yard box of a goal line, and they were showing that. They've only been undone in that first half, really, with that moment of absolute quality, that Wednesday move. So yeah, a good half from Wednesday, good early goal, a little bit of a middle section when Bristol started, having obviously the predominance at ball, and then Wednesday turning the screw against towards the break. But going in at half time, really confident, really happy with the performance, and I thought, get a second goal, that'll be game over. Second half, Charles don't come out, Liam Palmer comes on into midfield, and I've got no problem with that. I really like Liam Palmer, he's a brilliant servant to the club, and he'll always do his best. I was a bit sort of worried about the substitution. I did wonder if he'd got an injury, because there was a moment towards the end of the first half when Charles actually got booked, but he won the ball off Twine. Really, really strong tackle. Came away with the ball. Twine's calling for a referee. It was just a strong tackle, But he's been a mardy arse. He's been a mardy arse, Twine. So he's leapt up, he's chased after him, and he's chucked himself in from behind with a shithouse's tackle and done his ankle. So half time I did wonder if it might be that, and I was worried. Now, as it turns out, Danny's come out after the game and said the substitution was because of the card that Charles picked up in that moment. He was worried that he might not put a foot in the second half. I'm a little bit surprised with that, to be honest with you. I think that's the sort of thing you've got to take a gamble on. And I can understand it. You don't want him getting booked for the next game, or if it's his last game, his last appearance for us is in this section. It's like, keep him on, keep your best players on park. But obviously, Danny's looked at it the other way and thought he wants everybody in there giving everything. He don't want anyone, sticking a toe in, too scared to make a challenge. So I can understand it, but equally, I don't think it's something I would have done. But as I've said many times, he's a professional football manager, and I'm a bloke sat in his kitchen. So, a couple of minutes after half time, Palmer and Bannon link. Palmer chips a ball down. It looks like it's a nothing ball, really, towards corner flag. But Windass gets after it. Incredible work rate. It's a miracle if he gets there. It would be a miracle if he gets there, but he goes for it anyway. He really, really pressures him and ends up winning Wednesday a corner out of absolutely nothing. And I love to see that. And the stands, everybody's applauding it, because it's that intensity and that drive to push on and put the team on back foot and pressure little mistakes. Unfortunately for us, Bristol City back in the game. It's a very simple goal. Aesthetically very pleasing from a Bristol point of view. A lovely goal, but it's just a simple ball sort of over and round down the line. Their lad gets after it. I think it's Sykes they called him. Brilliant cross. Absolutely brilliant cross. Just with swerving it, begging to be attacked. Wells has made a run. I mean, we know he'll score goals at this level. Heckway's gone to meet it, just gets it slightly wrong. Wells has drifted off behind him, bullet header into net, 1-1. Like I said, it was a nice looking goal. It was frustrating though, because as soon as the initial ball was played, you knew. Sometimes you get that gut feeling, don't you? And as soon as that went down the line, you're like, oh, here we go. Sometimes, I think it's experience, innit? We watch a lot of games, you see little breaks, and you know which ones are going to come to something. Very frustrating. Wednesday, though, we talk about a team with resilience. We've shown lots of resilience this season. I think more comebacks than any other team. Backing it 2 minutes after. A brilliant tackle from Bernard in the midfield. Really strong again. Actually, once more, I think it's that Twine who chucks himself on the floor. Wins the ball, knocks it out. Windass links with Bannon. Bannon he's in the sort of outside right position. Jinks inside, comes in onto the left foot, lays the ball back to sort of edge at box, and Bernard's carried his run on. Brilliant bit of skill. It's a centre half, the ball comes in, and he does that open body dummy, I call it, but he steps towards it, their lad starts stepping, and then he just steps away and lets it come across and turns out. Really good. A John Sheridan turn, as I'd call it. John Sheridan used to do that all the time. Step, now, see you later, son. Brilliant. Don't always have to be the quickest player in the world if you're quick up here. Brilliant little step and roll across, and then a really nice sweet strike. I think it was going anyway, but it did take a deflection off one of their lads who, again, this is what I'm talking about, always trying to get out there and stop shots. 2-1 Wednesday, and from there on I thought, let's just pressure them now, because I didn't think they were any great shakes as a team. I thought Wednesday first half probably could have had 2 goals, maybe 3. I thought, let's squeeze on that, get the 3rd goal, finish them off. Let's not do what we did after the first goal, because after the goal in the first half, we dropped off for 10-15 minutes. We've got the lead again second half, let's not do that same thing. And for a couple of minutes we didn't. Palmer won a good tackle, drove on through the midfield, like we saw him doing in that Peterborough game. Nice ball out to Windass, who lets it come across his body. That's what he's really good at. That he loves taking it on screw, if you know what I mean. That's just over the bar. I thought their keeper had got a touch, to be honest with you. That's just over the bar, and like I said, we've got that goal. Things are lifted, and you're thinking, right, this is it. We're clearly going for 3rd. Bristol made a triple sub. You've got to give credit to their manager, Manning. You know, he's, oh no, I'm not settling for this. What surprised me, though, he brought off, I thought, probably their 3 most lively players. Obviously, Wells, when I was a goal scorer at this level, he came off. Twine came off, who I thought was, apart from chucking himself on the floor and being a mardy ass referee, you know, we know what he's capable of, and I thought he'd look one of their brighter players. And he brought the Japanese lad off, who on the night I thought was actually their busiest player. But they did bring on that Mehmeti, who, remember the other year from Wickham, caused us some serious problems. So I was a little bit worried about him coming on. They were galvanised a little bit from substitutions. They did have ball in net, albeit we saw something very rare that you very rarely see these days, an early flag. I mean, usually they flag half an hour later, don't they? You know, when everybody's gone home. But early flag, but a warning shot for Wednesday again. Even though it was disallowed, it's another cross into box. Jan Valery were really struggling. He was down the right hand side. Their lad, their number 2, came and he left a bit in on him. It was a bit of a naughty one, to be honest with you. But the referee over the whole of the game had let things go. He had trying, you know, let lads get on with it, but from both sides. So I'm not particularly going to call that one when there were probably plenty of others. But Valery looked in a really bad way, and he limped through the next sort of 5-10 minutes, and I don't know if that impacted the substitutions that Danny was going to make. Then there were some little, what I would call, typical Wednesday moments. The pitch, I'm not going to say it was like a pudding, but obviously they've been training on it for a fortnight, well, training grounds out of use. Little bit rutted, that 18-yard box at Cop End, so a sort of short pass out from Beadle to Lowe, which, with where their man was closing down, only left him one option, which was to come inside, which he looked really uncomfortable with, tried to get it back to Beadle, completely underhit it. But Beadle did really well, because obviously he can't go down and take it, obviously a free kick, so he has to time it to let their lad get there first, and him get there a fraction of a second later. It's really, really sharp thinking. Out of the whole of this game, I can't believe I'm saying this, but that was one of the moments where I'm like, that's actually really brilliant. You know, I know it comes from a terrible Wednesday moment, a mistake at the back, or 2 mistakes really, but that timing and thinking, absolutely brilliant. He knows that's a free kick. It just lets their lad get his toe, and then he's brilliant goalkeeping. Absolutely brilliant. Paul comes on for Valery, who looks absolutely gutted. I mean, he's really struggling. He's limping over towards the touchline, effing and blinding to himself, looking up to the heavens. You can tell he's really, really frustrated, because he was having a very good game, and he's got this knock. Hopefully, nothing too serious. We then enter this awful spell where it's a cycle, because the players on the pitch are starting to look nervy. Bristol are really starting to dominate possession at ball now, and that nervousness on pitch then starts descending into the stands, and suddenly there's this wave of anxious quiet all around the stands, and it's almost like that then cascades like a fog of nervousness back down onto pitch twofold, and then the players look even more nervous. And it was nervy. It's one of those moments when, you know, it's like a 10-minute window and everybody's on edge, everybody's shitting themselves, and everybody, to be frank, knows what's coming. Bird, they want to freak it down the right side. Bird put a brilliant corner in, absolutely brilliant delivery, and Knight gets up. It's an absolutely free header. It's a nightmare scenario from Wednesday's defending point of view, but it's a bit of a nightmare from his point of view. Completely free header, sails it off at bar, and he should be testing Beadle at the very least there. It should probably be a goal. I'm not saying Wednesday aren't trained, they are trained, but you know, none more so than Barry Bannon, who, you know, he's 36, he's charging about all over the place. You can see arms going, he's trying to get lads going. I mean, at one bit he pops up front, trying to close him down and get the lads up the pitch, but we just drop in and drop in and drop in. And suddenly we're back to that thing that we saw 2 or 3 weeks ago, scuffed clearances. You know, people are trying to leather it away, taking eye off ball at last minute, and they're just getting that little skim on it, and it's spinning up in air. And we looked like we were running on empty. We looked like the tank was empty. There looked a real fatigue to it. Now, whether that's mental, I don't know, or whether it's physical, because obviously huge derby at the weekend against Leeds, and Wednesday worked the socks off in that game. And you know, I know it's 3-0, but let's not be daft about it. Watch that full 90 minutes. They really, really worked the socks off, and they looked it against Bristol. That second half, they looked really, really tired. Camped in our own half, we can't seem to get hold of ball, we can't seem to clear the ball. When we do clear the ball, we've got nobody to hit because we're all camped in and around 18-yard box, and we can't keep the ball for 10 seconds. You know, I can't remember during this a passage of 2 or 3 passes. It's all one pass or just a hoof. We look really struggling and lacking in that little bit of composure. 3 minutes left, a little ball over the top. It looks like their lad's in. He's zipped in on outside. He's made an outside to in run. Max Lowe does absolutely brilliantly though. Absolutely brilliantly. Shoulders him all the way to byline and sees it out for a goal kick. And I thought, right, this is chance now to just calm it down. Beadle can take his time. Don't mind if he, you know, takes a bucking or whatever. Chance for him to set and for everybody to get up pitch. Let's not whip fanning about. Let's get everybody up there. We do, but we're losing it now. We're losing headers. People haven't got that leap. They haven't got the spring in the leap. We look so fatigued, so tired. And if there was anyone watching in the, you know, up in the grandstand up there, I think they would have to realistically say, oh yeah, I can see that there's 1 or 2 tired legs here, then we could probably do with a couple of bodies in the door. 5 minutes to go, they're level again. It's this pressure from Bristol City. You've got to give him full credit for that. Ball into the box. Bernard does, I don't know what Bernard does. I really like Bernard, but I don't know what he's doing here. He does a sort of bizarre pirouette and sort of toes the ball, I don't know, like 3 foot in the air that way. I don't head it behind for the corner. I don't know, but anyway, he keeps it in, loops it up there. Lad nuts it back into the centre. Second kid comes in on second ball, nuts it into the net. And it's disappointing, but I've got to be honest with it. It wasn't the crushing blow that it is when a team scores a wonder goal out of nothing. You know, it's not the blow like when Diarmi scored for Hull at Wembley, because I wasn't expecting that. This had been coming. This had been coming for 10 minutes. So when they did score that equalizer, it was like, yeah. Because you knew it had been coming 10-15 minutes before the end. Danny had made some subs, not really made the impact we would have liked, although there was one shocking tackle on Patterson, which I don't know how their lad's not got it booked for it. But as I said, not going to mumble too much about that because referee had tried to let the game flow as much as he could. Going into the final 2 minutes, once you're out on feet, honestly, we looked like a boxer who had unconscious stood up against ropes, and literally we were just all praying for the bell. We were absolutely out on our feet, and they had a chance to win it. Again, another ball into the box, it bobbles out, their lad sort of heads it back in, and I think it's Bell absolutely creams a shot that hits bar. And I've got to be honest with you, if it had gone in and we'd lost 3-2, at that stage it would not have surprised me, and at that stage it wouldn't have flattered Bristol for that second half performance, especially that last 20 minutes or so. So a 2-2, and as I said, before this triple of games, Leeds, Bristol City and QPR, I was hoping for 4 points. I didn't think we'd get anything from Leeds. I did think we'd got a good opportunity in this one to get a win, if I'm honest with you, the way we played in that first half. But again, we've got a point, and now QPR, so we're actually on track for what I thought we'd get out of this little trio of games. But we'll have to defend better than we did that, and we'll have to have a better mentality to not just sitting off like that. But the real thing that concerned me was how tired they looked. They looked so tired out there, and they do need strengthening. Now apparently Mr. Chansiri and Danny have had talks, obviously. I don't know what's been said in them. I don't know if they were positive talks or not, but at least they're communicating again, which is the main thing. Hopefully now we can have a little bit of movement and look towards strengthening the squad. Now the Leeds game, albeit we've lost 3-0, but Mr. Chansiri was there, and I would hope that taking away the scoreline, he would look at the performance and say, Leeds are best team in the division, They've beat us in the end by bringing probably £30 million worth of talent off their bench. But he'll have seen that for 90 odd minutes we've more than matched them, and that with a few little additions, I'm not saying we're going to be as good as them or be challenging them at top, but with a few little additions, hopefully we'll think, yeah, that 5th, 6th place, that is not beyond the realms of possibility if we can get a few bodies in the door to strengthen this team in the right areas, because we're not too far away. And we've seen again this first half against Bristol. Some really good football, scored an absolutely fantastic goal, probably unlucky not to get 2 in that first half. But then fatigue comes in, and you've got to be able to bring quality off the bench. And what that second half did show us as well was a vision of a future midfield without Shea Charles in it. And it looks a different beast altogether, a Wednesday without Shea Charles in it. Now understand that those talks are ongoing. We're getting Charles back, but Southampton's now wanting a bigger loan fee. Now whether that's just them being arseholes because they couldn't get Danny Roll, and they were knocked back with that. Now Danny says he knocked him back. I think Mr. Chancellor says he knocked him back, but whoever knocked him back, clearly the Saints have got the lip on with that one, so they're playing hardball over Shea Charles. Now I think they've put a bit of a deadline on it as well, and saying, well, we need to get what we want, or we've got other plans for him. Now the dread part of that is if the other plans include S2. So hopefully Wednesday and our ownership can stop talking about revenge against Southampton and all the general Zod bit, and come to a deal with Southampton, because that lad, even at this stage, has probably been our player next season. He gives us something completely different in midfield. He struts around the pitch, but not in an arrogant way. He struts around the pitch because even though he's a really young lad, he knows what he's doing. He spots danger. He nips so many attacks in the bud. I don't think Bristol would have got back in the game in the way that they did if he's in that midfield in that second half. I know Danny says he's only yelled at it, he didn't think, but I don't think that happens. He gives us something different in there. The lad's quality, if we can get him back and maybe 1 or 2 more, who knows. But a big week coming up from Wednesday. Hopefully we can get 3 points against QPR at the weekend, keep us in touching distance, and then it's just fingers crossed that the gaffer and the owner can get their heads together and work some deals out and just give us that little bit of strengthening, because we are not that far away. Not that far away. I'm not sure. When we look at last season, we stayed up by skin of teeth. I'm not sure. I think we're overplaying at the minute for the squad we've got. I'm not sure when we might next get an opportunity this good, where the stars align, that the players we've already got are playing out of the skins, are probably slightly above where they should be, where we've got an absolutely quality manager who will be going at top of game, and where we are in the table. I'm not sure this opportunity will present itself again. So we've really got to leap onto that and give him every tool that we can to help try and break into that top 6. That's what everybody wants, including the owner. Maybe, especially the owner.